Hi everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. So in today's drawing tutorial, we're going to learn how to draw Spider-Man. So first what we want to do is just start by loosely sketching. Like right now we're sketching the head, just create a sort of oval shape. But the key thing when you're sketching is you just want to just flesh out the character in general. Just make it very, loose and so forth. Nothing has to be perfect in this stage of the drawing. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just sketching out, the chest area, just the general body parts. And the key thing that you want to learn when drawing like superheroes is making sure that you're getting the anatomy right. And obviously we can go over sort of, the whole process of anatomy in a later video. But for now, just loosely sketching and so forth. So as you can see here, Spider-Man is a really thin, character in regards to his like muscular structure. So you don't want to make any like bulky lines, or just in terms of muscular size, like you don't want to create anything bulky. Just keep everything light and thin. Even with the hands here, as I said before, nothing has to be perfect in this stage. We're going to be inking and everything soon. So as we're sketching here, now I'm going over again, just kind of creating darker lines so we can create more of a defined figure. And, you just really just have to feel it out. Like literally that's the way I've kind of learned how to draw. And also if you need any sort of like reference or anything, sometimes that can help too. But as you keep practicing the muscular structure, the more like it becomes ingrained in your mind, and it almost becomes like muscle memory. So that's how I just kind of go about doing things here. So now I'm trying to get a little bit deeper on, creating the muscles within the character. Like right now I'm drawing the abs and so forth. So you want to get that definition. You don't want to just create some sort of static figure, because this is the part where, if you get the anatomy right, the character becomes that much more convincing when the final drawing is complete. So this part is really critical. Like literally I'm just loosely trying. The main thing with sketching is working from the outside in. So once you have like sort of just a general basis of what the figure looks like, then now you can work inwards and start filling out the details. And that's really important. Now I'm trying to add the little spider figure. So, now we know where exactly, in terms of the chest and the positioning, where that is. It's just sort of just a central point, so I can kind of get my bearings for all the details around it. And of course, you need that before you can even do the webbing and stuff on him, so... So slowly just going around the figure, trying to add the fingers. As I said, just more muscle depth. I always find like hands are always the hardest part, but I guess with practice, you can kind of just get a feel for it over time. Now I'm trying to go in and add a little bit more of the details, like where the blue portion of the suit is. Gloves. Now you can kind of see the figures coming together slowly. You can kind of generally see what what the character would look like without the webbing. Yeah, trying to darken the eyes and so forth. So now what I'm doing is I'm adding hatching, like essentially for shadowing, the hatching where you keep drawing lines like in the same direction to create a sort of shadow effect. You can even do cross hatching as well, which is like drawing in one direction in terms of the shadows and then drawing in the other direction so it creates a sort of darkness around it. But you know, in this sense, I tend to, like, as I said before, with the sketching, I tried to make the, you know, lines as general as possible because I really get deep into the details once I do the inking. So yeah, look, now I'm even just adding the webbing and stuff and so forth. So just very general, very light. That's another thing. You don't want to draw too dark when you're sketching, because then, you know, once you have to erase all the pencil marks, you don't want any, you know, lines interfering and so forth. It doesn't really look good. So very light. Yep, now I'm just doing the webbing basically across the whole thing. This is a really, you know, challenging part that honestly just takes a lot of practice. You just want to make sure that, you know, in terms of like the slanted lines across, that you're, you know, it all has a sort of flow to it in regards to the position of the character. You don't want to just create a bunch of slanted lines all over him, because then it's not going to look realistic. You want to make sure that there's a certain flow and that it's, because he's facing to the side a little bit, you want to make sure that that direction makes sense, like with the webbing too. So it makes it look just a tad bit more believable. Yeah, so you just continue along the arms. And there you go, like it's starting to come together. Just add more of the smaller details in terms of the webbing, like on specifically on the fingers. Some more hatching. I love to go crazy with the details. I just feel like it just makes it look so much more realistic. Okay, so once the sketching is done, now we can go into the inking portion. Now this part, you have to be extremely careful. You know, because obviously when you're inking with micron pens, you can't really make a mistake. And actually, we'll, you know, to amend that sort of statement, it's like you can make a mistake, but the thing is, it's you have to know how to correct that through, you know, shading and so forth. And obviously, if you really made a huge blunder, obviously you can just use whiteout and so forth. But during this process, take your time as much as you need. You're basically just going over the figure like very intricately, and these are like the final lines that you're going to use before you get to the coloring stage. So basically, I'm just going through the whole figure right now, just outlining every single pencil sketch on there, and trying to make it, you know, look as dynamic as possible. So as you can see here, now we're getting deeper into the details, you know, especially the inking around the eyes. That's where the character really starts to pop out. Now the character's really starting to pop out because, you know, the definition around the muscles and the shading, that's what's really going to help it pop. See, now especially around like the leg areas, underneath the chin, around the ab area and the biceps, you want to especially use a lot of hatching and so forth around there, because that's really going to help the character stick out, like even under the abs. It's the main thing is, wherever you think there's a sort of depth like within the character, you want to add a lot of dark black sort of coloring, and whether you use Sharpies or Micron pens, it's completely up to you, but you want to just make sure that you're allowing the character to pop off the page and not just look complete. The inking portion is really about taking a two-dimensional figure that you've drawn and making it look 3D. And yeah, I mean, that's essentially what we're doing right now. There we go. Now we've inked all the webbing. I'm just adding some small details here, just to maybe some battle scars or that sort of thing, just to make him look a little bit more realistic. And then from there, now all you have to do is just erase all the pencil marks underneath. And we've essentially drawn our figure. All we have to do now is just add a splash of color and you're good to go. Yeah, and with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope this tutorial was helpful and can't wait to see you all again in a future drawing tutorial. And have a wonderful day. Keep creating out there.